So, a lot going on this Calgary Flames game day as the team gets ready to take on the St. Louis Blues tonight. First, there's reports coming out of Vancouver that the Calgary Flames, Nils Hoglander is the apple of the Calgary Flames' eye, as both Rick Dhaliwal and Sat Shah reporting that the Flames have been very intrigued by what they have seen from Nils Hoglander, and any trade that could involve a Tanev heading out west would have to include a Nils Hoglander coming back here to Calgary. And this is something that I talked with Canuck Clayton Emo about. Check out his YouTube channel right now. He's fantastic. But we talked about this on the now defunct Game Over, and I am so intrigued by this player. I think that there is an incredible amount of offensive upside that hasn't quite been reached yet out in Vancouver, just because they kind of have a lot of really good dudes, especially this year. And so it is very similar to the Sharangovich situation, where he's kind of being pushed to the back of the line, but he has front of the line offensive upside. And I think that I think he's really, really talented, and another one of those guys who is just scratching the surface. And if the Flames aren't going to go the rebuild route, I was thinking about it, this is kind of Moneyball, but you're not trying to, like, oh, this is something the league isn't seeing in these guys. It's this is a way that we can rebuild, but also tell our owner we're not. Like, it's trying to trick things a little bit here, but it is a really, really smart way of going about it, seeing where players maybe aren't necessarily thriving and try to get that out of them instead of just getting a bunch of draft capital. It leads to a lot of interesting discussions for sure about team management and team building, but overall, I would like this for the Calgary Flames. And I think if you are going to make these moves, it's the reason why when I talk about this, I talk about Hoglander. I talk about whether it's Nyes, Robertson, or some of the other, Liljegren out in Toronto, or a couple of the kids who we saw at the World Juniors. I think that this is probably the route that Calgary will end up going. And that leads to, like I said, it's a bit of a different Moneyball approach to rebuilding, because it does take some of the guesswork out of it, right? Like, we knew that Sharangovich was at least capable of scoring 25 goals. You draft a kid in the first round, no idea, as we've seen from the draft. You know Nils Hoglander has an offensive upside that can at least work somewhat at the National Hockey League level. Second round pick, no idea. So I am generally in favor of taking proven commodities over draft picks. The one issue with it is you still need difference makers. And as much as I love what Sharangovich has done this year, to call him like difference maker on a championship winning team. He's been a difference maker on the Flames this year, but that's the Flames. Hoglander would be, I think, like a pretty dynamic offensive player. Is he a game changer when it comes to championship pedigree? No, he's not. And no knock on either of those players. There are but so many of those guys out there in the National Hockey League. And so that is why rebuilding becomes so appealing, is your opportunities of getting the best of the best increase when, quite frankly, you're bad for a couple of years, you get a couple of high draft picks, bing, bang, boom, now you got a core, and off you go. Now, it's not perfect. See, up in Edmonton and 1,000 other examples, Ottawa right now is going through it as well. This is an interesting way of going about it. You still, whether you need lottery luck or one of these kids to just absolutely blow you away with the potential that they have, you still need something to go your way, but I do overall like this approach by the Flames. I kind of like it a little bit more than here's 9 draft picks, a bunch of dudes at the NHL level who aren't NHLers, and just go about it that way. If you play the kids and your team sucks and then you get the draft capital out of it anyway, then fine. But I think it's a couple of I think it's a really, really intriguing way of going about things from a Flames standpoint, and one that we haven't really seen around here before. So bravo on the Flames if this is the way that they go. And there's still a lot of time between now and the trade deadline in a couple of months to see how that all plays out.